at the state of the Nigerian nation.
Okay.
Security-wise, politically,
economically.
That's why I'm asking, are you worried the way things are going?
A discernible mind should be worried. We are 57 few days back. And I think a child or a person of 57-year-old should be able to know his direction in life. He should be able to know what he stands for, he or she stands for. And as a nation, to me, we are still in a limbo. We are still having issues with really identifying ourselves and situating ourselves among community of nations. I want to believe with the enormous resources that we have in this nation, even though we are diverse in culture, in language, in religion, yet God has not made a mistake to have unified us as a nation. So we are concerned as a religious leader and like any other person that is very passionate about this nation, any patriot should be worried about the state of the nation, because I see us still struggling to be on our own feet, and this ought not to be. Of course, we've made a lot of mistakes, which are very obvious here and there, and I want to believe it's not too late again to correct the abnormalities so that we can stand on our own.
Mention 1, 2, 3 abnormalities that you...
We could cite the example of economic stability. We are not so fine with that, though theoretically we are told that we have gone away from the recession. But if you look at it practically, things are not still normal with an average Nigerian. Jobs are not there for our graduates.
No food on the table?
No food on the table. The family could not stand, confidently. Many husbands, as head of the family, are shy away from their responsibilities because jobs are not just there. And I think we need to get things right from what we have lost and come back to our consciousness.
Maybe we should be talking about what we need to do.
Yeah. For every problem, there must be a solution.
Are we to restructure? As
this is a popular slogan clamor now. Even though we have issues, we have the issues with the northeastern part of the country, the south, and what have you. We have issues there. I think what other people are clamoring for, the so-called segmented instance of being disengaged from the federation, may not be so good at this particular, or even never. But we could go on restructuring.
Why never?
I don't see us breaking away. The amalgamation came in 1914, right? And with my assessment, personal assessment, I don't think any of the founding fathers of this nation were born then. So it means even the Britons might have done this for us, consciously or unconsciously, but I think the divine intervention of God is there. A Christian chaplain or Islamic chaplain will believe that everything that God does doesn't have any mistake. Everything from him is perfect. So he must have designed our coming together as one, as by own divine will. And since we have got ourselves in this system, we should be able to relate cordially with ourselves, forge frontiers together, manage resources together, merge our talent together, and be a formidable nation.
The signs are very obvious for possible secession.
Of course, they are.
So when you are saying you don't see secession happening,
yeah,
are you talking from your crystal ball, or what are you putting together to make you arrive at that?
No, like I said, that any patriot Nigerian would not want that, because I think the earlier one that came up in late 60s, 1967 to 70, when we had the Civil War, and it was a very horrible thing, and I could still remember vividly what the Baron of that particular period, late Ojukwu, said, that he regretted the event and he would not want that to occur again. Now seeing another youngsters coming up with this intervention again, agitation again, will not be so palatable to an average Nigerian that is highly patriotic about this nation, that want us to move on. So we should have our diversity to be in unity. Then we can move on.
At 47, you are one of the youths of this country. I'm sure you fall within that category.
Thank you, sir.
And sincerely speaking, do you believe the Nigerian youths, with all the poor preparations, you know, that majority of them have had,
Yeah.
real poor preparations, no good education, no good financing, you know, all of that. With all those poor preparations, do you believe the Nigerian youths truly will be able to effectively take on the leadership responsibilities of this country?
This nation? Yeah. Maybe I should make it an ambivalent response. It could be and it may not be. But I will have a professor. And what is the professor is that if you remember, when we go to the annals of history of this nation, most of our past leaders, they were youth when they were leading us. We have instances written in record. General Murtala, aside from the founding fathers, maybe to some extent, General Murtala, General Gowon, and others like that, they were in their prime age.
When they came on...
Then they came to power, and they did marvelously well. The records are there. Maybe in this, the First Republic, when we had Alhaji Shehu Shagari, still alive, may God be with him, maybe a little bit older. But the fact is that there is nothing wrong in having the youth on board as leaders. They could as well do it. But with the current orientation that we are passing through, the present situation calls for concern. An average Nigerian youth now, because probably you'll be telling you that he's not employed, they are in the 419 syndrome, Yahoo, all this. The maturity that a youth should be saddled with may not be really apparent in them.
That's the poor preparation I was talking about.
That is the proper preparation. You are quite right, sir. And that gives a concern. Only very few. And how do you take this few? How do you really identify the few among them? I would say some of us were fortunate. We are just fortunate, on quote, to have been like this. Some are not like that.
So even the younger leaders we had, the Gowons of this world and so on, they had a very strong background. They came from those old parents.
Of course, they,
you know.
Yes.
Nowadays,
barely, they don't have university education. Most of them had only
military education.
Military education.
Yes, and which was very sound. Used to be very sound.
Very sound.
Even up to now.
Yeah, you are quite right.
But the kind of youths that we have today, that we're beginning to breed.
You can imagine.
Some of them are dropouts from schools.
Really? Some are cultists.
Did not even finish well.
Very well. So
some were not properly trained in school.
Really?
The real books that we're supposed to read are not there anymore. That's the kind of thing I'm saying.
More importantly, the family.
How do we hand over? Exactly.
The family, which is the bedrock.
How do we hand over to such people?
So these are issues. Even though they are agitating now, that the old papas are there, the old mamas are there, they should go.
They should go.
That they want new, they want to be rejuvenated, they want a resuscitation of the younger mind.
Can they cope?
Fine.
But
we should be careful, because like I said, very few of them really walk the salt. And this is the issue.
Let's move on another line. Nigerians are great worshippers and prayer warriors.
Really? Christians, Muslims? I like
and yet, a lot seems wrong within our system.
Really?
In Nigeria.
Is there.
Corruption, bitter quarrels, killings.
Really? Ritual killing.
And other forms of wickedness.
Kidnapping.
How do we explain this?
Well, like I said, and because of my field orientation and exposure, I think 2014 to 15, I was a fellow at Harvard Divinity School. And one of my teachers there, a female, Professor Diana Moore, was just being worried that despite, she has visited Nigeria twice, despite your exposure, the religiosity, commitment, passion and valor as part of spirituality, as far as spirituality is concerned, a couple of crimes are still on your system as a nation. Could you please explain this? This is a class question.
And it's like I'm also repeating the question now.
So Christian chaplain were there, Muslim chaplain were there, and I was asked this question, and I was really flabbergasted to answer accurately, because the fact is that you have plethora of mission houses on the highways, in the streets, Even industrial area, we have churches, mosques there now, been springing up, a multitude of number. Yet, we have serious debilitation with our society. Our society is being challenged with various vices that all of us are new about. And the only thing I could say is that maybe we need to be more closer to our Creator and really inject moral education, moral and value education into our curricula. I think like catching them young, because I see a Christian home as a holy home. I see a Muslim or Islamic home as equally a holy home, where corruption is not expected, where injustice should not be tolerated, where lying, backbiting, and other vices should not be entertained. Yet, we are having sons of pastors, sons of imams, daughters of imams, doing all sorts of things. And that is what I mentioned the other time, that the family structure is really a problem in our present day.
Where did we get it all wrong?
I want to believe from the home, which is the family. Maybe I should cite this as a teacher in secondary school for a few years when I was teaching. You see, some parents will still come to buy their way for their kids, for their awards in writing the exam, asking the teachers to give them special centers, and they're ready to pay. How will you want that type of child or children to be a serious type when the parents are already ready inculcating corruption in the system? Why don't you ask them to read very well like them to be successful? It means the children, these so-called students, are not independent of their minds. They are not ready. Just a secondary school final examination. And with perversion and odd injustice, they will have good grades and graduate to the tertiary level. They graduated, maybe he or she is fortunate. Of course, they are always fortunate because they have godfathers over there. They get good jobs, but they will not function very well.
So where is the future of Nigeria?
Well, I want to believe the future is bright with the present dispensation.
How? How do you mean?
Yes, the current administration, without any iota of flattering, I think is a very serious administration. With
from what angle?
From the helm of affairs, the man at the helm of affairs. That is President.
Are you looking at it from the angle of anti-corruption crusade?
Well, that could be one, as one of those aspects, because one of our aging problem now. But I was even imagining, this man is 74 or so now. I don't think, if he die, he passed on today, just as a passing statement. We are not wishing him to get to die. I think he has achieved what he wanted. He has done a lot for himself and his family. His name remains in the book of history. So I don't think he has anything personal to gain from abating or supporting corruption. But for the future of this nation, and that's why I said the future is bright. If you ask somebody like that, I'm not clamoring for him that he should come back. No, I'm not apolitical and I'm not a politician. But I'm talking on what is on ground, on our table for assessment, that we have seen a lot of improvement going on. We knew how we were a few years back, and we knew how we are now. I think if we can still continue with this tempo, we could be better off very soon, by His grace.
Let's move on another line.
Yeah.
Just as Christians are alleging Islamization of Nigeria,
good.
Muslims, on the other hand, are also alleging Christianization
of Nigeria.
Of Nigeria.
You can see.
So tell me, how possible really, and how not possible for Nigeria to be either Islamized or Christianized?
What the first? It's a very funny question, but I think it's written there. We are not a religious nation. That is the first point. The Federal Republic of Nigeria
is a secular country.
It's a secular country, secular society, a secular nation.
That's what the Constitution says.
That is what the Constitution.
That's my next question.
And based on that, no religion should now be superimposing itself or whatever
on the other.
On the other. We should relate amicably, cordially, warmly, and life goes on. I think we have pluralistic, religious pluralistic society everywhere in the world. United States is one. You've been there, I've been there. And we know how diverse they are. Diverse, I mean, even more than our own.
Culturally,
religiously, linguistically, talk of anything. I've never heard of religious violence in the United States of America. They could have gun issue, gun control, wahala, whatever. That could be. But as far as religion is concerned, it is highly separated. It's a personal thing that the state doesn't even have special interest in. And with our estimation during my stay in the United States, it's over 70. Sikhism, Islam, Christianity, Taoism, blah, 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 blah. We never had any rancor or any discord among them. Now coming back to our country now.
Our own society.
It's quite unfortunate. And I think civilized and exposed chaplains, whether in Christianity or Islam, will support this. And that is my philosophy. Religious freedom should be at the forefront of our understanding, which will be marked with mutual respect, mutual tolerance, and cohabitation effectively within ourselves.
But some will say that these so-called clerics that you mentioned,
yes,
both sides,
yeah,
are the one really fueling the crisis.
They are
by their utterances.
Yeah, hate speech,
by
bigotry statement.
Am I right?
Yes, you are right, sir. Quite right. And that is what we are doing in groups like NIREC, in CAN, in National Council, Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, that our religious leader in the churches and the mosques, they should disengage from hatred speech. They should preach peace and not violence. And I'm sure people watching us now will be asking, why are these Boko Haram or other things? Exactly. We'll be saying this severally and repeatedly, that they are never among us. The BH or whatever they have their own ideological, and it's a quagmire of religion and politics married together with the clamor or the cloak of religion. The motive is basically political, not religious. Because these are people that they will never say their prayer on time. They will never follow the values of the religion they say they claim they are supporting or whatever. And I want to tell you categorically and emphatically,
they hate education.
They hate it, and they are using guns and using other that.
Sophisticated.
And you can only know that through education, a standard and vibrant education. So you can see that there are many mix-up there. So they are not among us, and no religion ever preach violence. It's all peace and tranquility.
There's a feeling to imagine that NIREC has outlived its usefulness.
Really?
I don't know whether you will agree.
Okay.
In the face of all of what is going on, you now find that NIREC looks helpless. One would have expected that with NIREC, things will have turned out better. Yeah. In terms of mutual relationship and mutual trust, and all of that. Yeah. So there's this feeling and thinking in some quarters that NIREC probably has outlived its usefulness, and maybe we need to either restructure it or disband it
or something.
I don't know what you're thinking.
Am I thinking? Yes, like I said before now, that NIREC is expected to be a reconciliatory body, a body that will familiarize itself with both major religions, that is Christianity and Islam. And that explains why at the board level and membership level, we have chaplains, imams from the mosque and the pastors and whatever in the churches, and we relate together cordially. Unfortunately, there is still one thing that is missing. And the missing of that thing is because we are a secular society. I think we could borrow leave from a country like Turkey. I've been to Turkey 4 times. And if you go into the history, annals of history, you remember that was the country, the nation that hosted the last Islamic empire up to 1924, when Kemal Atatürk was emerged as the new president. And that is when they secularized Turkey as a secular state. But be that as may, Turkey still have a ministry of religious matters or religious affairs. Maybe we should have something like that. Probably we'll be having the minister changing over among the Christian and Muslim, and we have other agencies under that. NIREC will be there, the National Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs will be there, PFM could be there, that's the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, CAN could be there, MSS and others like that, so that we can regularize things fashion out modalities that we are brothers, we are Nigerians, we are citizens of the same nation, and we should behave as such. Enough of unnecessary violence, unnecessary misinterpretation. So this is just my own little contribution and understanding. I think we may restructure as well, NIREC, because of some expected things. There are some expectations that we expected that are not forthcoming. And one of the reasons they are saying is that they don't have funds to expand their tentacles, to display their dexterity and all things like that.
Some are even saying at the base of the problem is mutual suspicion.
Yeah, mutual suspicion.
Maybe the composition of the council itself.
Yes.
How do you look at that?
Well, we shouldn't see that as a problem, like I said. Since we have the two major religions as participants in the forum, when this one is the other one could be the deputy or vice, and vice versa like that, and life goes on. So we should have sense of belonging because we are working in the same direction. Because I want to believe that the one thing that really amazed me with this nation is how spiritual we are. It appears we are spiritually strong.
And yet
we still have
all these challenges.
Crop of problems,
character challenges,
I mean, you see,
moral challenges.
We can't trust ourselves. Some people will even tell you that they don't even believe in themselves. So if somebody is telling you that, how will you be so comfortable to relate or have anything doing with the person? So
even intrally within each religion,
there's some intra in the Christianity and Islam is there.
Yeah.
We have our own issue as well. I'm an imam. I know people that will be telling me, why don't you put on your
mustache?
A mustache? This is something recommended by the Prophet. It's a sunnah. It's not compulsory. If you can keep it well, it's good. But if you can't, that should not be a reason why you should be blackmailed or blacklisted. But some people will be telling you it has to be. These are issues. Part of the interest something. I think it's obtainable as well in the other side of Christianity as well. I think we should look at what I would call moderate religiosity. A moderate one that will not be too fundamentalist, will not be too exaggerated. Because our coming generations, they are looking at religions as another thing.
You see, I was also thinking along that line when I constructed the next question.
Fine, sir.
You know what it says? The Islamic soul-winning mechanism or technique.
Or technique or methods.
Used to be the Quran or the sword. That's the way some of us, read about it in books, and that's the kind of impression we also gained, growing old. I mean, growing in those earlier ages.
Oh.
It's either you receive the Quran or you get killed.
That's unfortunate.
So
that is part of misrepresentation.
Which makes the approach
very
rather
hard,
coercive and
coercive, hard, and not complimentary, so to say.
And people are now saying that is from where the trouble started. Violent approach to religion, to winning souls and so on. What's your comment on this?
We are probably talking technically as part of jihad, the misconception about jihad, which is striving the cause of God or cause of Allah. The misconception, like I said before now, when you threw this question, it has been the mistorted part of Islamic history. Maybe I should quickly say this, that when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may Allah be pleased with him, as well as Jesus Christ, Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, when he emigrated from Mecca to Medina, which kick-started our calendar system. I think we are still our January now, so to say Muharram. That's the first month. When he got to Medina, he met other religious traditions. The Jews were there, the Christians were there, and we were even told there are some free thinkers who are neither here nor there, but they are human beings. The fact is that the Quran recognizes what we call humanity. The human soul could not be created by anyone except by our Creator. And that's our God who fashioned and sustained every one of us. So the Prophet calmed them down. He was invited and related with them with the inter-religious inclination and affiliation. And everybody had his or her own portion comfortably. At a time, they were even ready to support him in his mission. But as time goes on, the westernized period, during the Crusaders, you read this about, there were mistortion of history. Islam was in Spain for over 500 years.
Okay, maybe on that historical stuff, I'm sure you will get back to that.
Okay.
We want to be able to take some little break, some breather at this point. We'll be right back. Stay with us.